Folks, I cannot believe that we live in a world where the likes of Laura Loomer would ever be taken seriously. And I'm just going to go ahead and confess something. I am extremely guilty of assumption politics because I see an idiot and I just automatically assume that everyone else can see through that idiot. I see a conspiracy theory and I automatically assume that everyone can see through that conspiracy theory. I see bullshit and I just automatically assume that everyone out there should see this for bullshit. But we live in a world where the leader of the free world would pause helping people coming to this country over things that Laura Loomer said. And there was a time when I remember a time when I would be like driving down the road. I traveled a lot as a musician, so I'd be on these road trips. And you see, I'm always looking at people's bumper sticker. There used to be a time where you would get behind someone that had these InfoWars kind of bumper stickers and stuff. You knew they were a conspiracy theorist, and it was just, in my mind, it was just, again, I'm assuming that's just one idiot. You know what I mean? And then you would pass by certain billboards and certain signs and stuff, and you would go, there ain't no way that many people's that stupid. But folks, they're that stupid, and unfortunately, we're in a world where this is a headline. And again, I said this so many times, but I cannot believe I'm reading this out loud in 2025. But unfortunately, folks, here we are. This one comes to us from the Associated Press. Trump administration halts visas for people from Gaza after Laura Loomer questions arrivals. After Laura Loomer. We're gonna halt this because, wait, Laura had something to say about it. That, to me, again, I'm assuming, should be a red flag to anyone and go, what kind of crazy world are we in that we're listening to this idiot? But a day after conservative activist Laura Loomer posted videos on social media of children from Gaza arriving in the U.S. for medical treatment and questioning how they got their visas, the State Department said it was halting all visitor visas from people from Gaza pending a review. They looked at a Laura Loomer post and said, hey, wait a minute. Before we bring these children in here, we're the party of children, but before we bring these children in here, let's pause their medical treatment because we have to entertain Laura Loomer. Oh, man. The State Department said Saturday that visas would be stopped while it looks into the small number of temporary medical humanitarian visas were issued in recent days. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said on Face the Nation on CBS that the action came after outreach from multiple congressional offices asking questions about it. Rubio said there's just a small number of visas issued to children in need of medical aid, but they were accompanied by adults. The congressional offices reached out with evidence that some of the organizers bragging about and involved in acquiring these visas have strong links to terrorist groups like Hamas. As a result, he said, we're going to pause this program and reevaluate how those visas are being vetted and what relationship, if any, has been by these organizations to process acquiring these visas. Loomer on Friday posted videos on X of children from Gaza arriving earlier this month in San Francisco and Houston for medical treatment with the aid of an organization called Heal Palestine. Despite the U.S. saying we are not accepting Palestinian refugees into the United States under the Trump administration, these people from Gaza were able to travel to the U.S., she said. She called it a national security threat and asked who signed off on the visas, calling the person to be fired. She tagged Rubio, Trump, Vance, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, and California Governor Gavin Newsom. Trump has downplayed Loomer's influence on his administration, but several officials swiftly left or were removed shortly after she publicly criticized them. The State Department on Sunday declined to comment on how many of the visas had been granted and whether the decision to halt visas to people from Gaza had anything to do with Loomer's post. Heal Palestine said in a statement Sunday that it was distressed by the State Department's decision to stop and halt visas from Gaza. The group said it is an American humanitarian nonprofit organization delivering urgent aid and medical care to the children of Palestine. A post on the organization's Facebook page Thursday shows a photo of a boy from Gaza leaving Egypt and headed to St. Louis for treatment. And he said he is our 15th evacuated child arriving in the U.S. in the last 2 weeks. The organization brings severely injured children to the U.S. on temporary visas for treatment that they can't get at home. Following the treatment, the children and any family members who accompanied them return to the Middle East, the statement said. This is a medical treatment program, not a refugee resettlement program, it said. So the World Health Organization has reportedly called for more medical evacuations from Gaza, while Israel's over 22-month war against Hamas has heavily destroyed or damaged much of the territory's health system. More than 14,800 patients still need life-saving medical care that is not available in Gaza, the World Health Organization said. The description of the medical evacuation process from Gaza, published last year, explained that the WHO submits list of patients to Israeli authorities for security clearance. It noted that before the war in Gaza began, 50 to 100 patients were leaving Gaza daily for treatment, and it called for a higher rate of approvals from Israeli authorities. The UN and partners say medicine and even basic health care supplies are low in Gaza after Israel cut off aid to the territory of over 2 million people for more than 10 weeks earlier this year. Ceasefire is the best medicine, Tedros said on Wednesday. So yeah, folks, the party of we got to protect the children is nothing. They're not. That's not who they are at all. Don't ever let them fool you. They don't give a damn about children. They use children as props, just like they use the American flag as a prop, just like they use the Bible as a prop, and just like they shred the Constitution and use what's left of it as a prop. These people do not care about children, and these people have completely left the American dream in the dustbin of history. They don't talk about that anymore. We were always supposed to be that shining light. We were always supposed to be where people come to make a better way for themselves. We were always supposed to be there to lift people up and to help people. That's what we were supposed to be. And we've gotten so far away from that now that I sometimes question if we can ever get back to it. Especially when we have a government being led by such a tyrannical dictator and then taking his advice from such a piece of human garbage. And I really had to kind of stop there for a minute and pump the brakes before I said other thoughts that went through my head when it comes to just how disgusting of a person she is. There's a whole lot of names I could have said that I just settled on that one. But I used to think, and I was guilty of assuming, that crowd of people were small, but they're not. There's a large number of them. I still believe they're an extremely loud minority. I still believe that reasonable people there's more of those. I believe that there's more reasonable people. I just believe that reasonable people gave up a lot of hope. And I believe that reasonable people feel pounded into submission. And I believe these type of moments are designed to beat you into submission. And that's why you can't let them do that to you. You can never let them take away your American dream or what you felt like this country was supposed to be, what we know it was supposed to be. You can't let them have that one. Our grandfathers and our founding fathers and everyone along the way, they weren't perfect. I'm going to go ahead and say that. None of them were perfect. At no point in American history has this country been perfect. At no point in American history has that flag that hangs over my shoulder been perfect. It's not. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, we're perfect and we just fell off the rails a few years ago. No, we've always had our share of faults and our share of problems, and we've always did things that I strongly disagreed with. But at the core of all of it, we were supposed to be the shining light. We were supposed to be the heroes in the story. And honestly, seeing MAGA rise the way they have and seeing us go down this dark path in America has really caused me to question so much. Because I say to myself, I thought we were better than this. I thought everybody understood this. And they didn't. And that's a cold, hard slap in the face of reality. It truly is. I have trolls comment all the time saying stuff. The big chunk of them I do believe is bots, and the rest of them I really don't care. I have people message me. They'll call me everything from a communist to a traitor to everything under the sun. They'll type in all caps. And I'm just guilty of assuming that they had better sense, but they don't. And you can't let those people guide the narrative. And you can't let those people have the pen to set and write this moment in American history. We have to be the ones that stands up and controls that narrative. And we can, and we will. And I appreciate y'all for coming along on this ride with me. You know, years ago, when I was a teenager, I'd just sit up, play my music, and be left alone. I didn't even try to go to Nashville to chase the dream or nothing like that. All I wanted was a smoky bar and a dim lit stage and just give me a Fender or a Gibson guitar and let me crank it up and give me a 3-piece band and I'm good. And I'll stay the fuck away from it. But as time went on, it was like, you know what? I can't sit here and be quiet anymore. I can't sit here and be quiet as I watch everything that we ever was supposed to be about circle the drain. So this is the hill now I'm willing to die on, and I mean that. That's not just a catchphrase. That's not just a cliche when I say it. I mean it because it's too important. It really is, and I assume it should be for everybody else. But I know that there's way more reasonable people out there, and I just encourage them to keep speaking up. Just don't let the trolls and don't let this authoritarian nightmare write this portion of American history. They say history is written by the winner. If we lose this one, they're going to write it. And our grandchildren will hear their version. So that's why I always say this channel stands as a testament of something we built together to let our grandchildren know that we never fell for it.